Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just want to make still comment on the issue of overspending by URA, and I think let me restrict myself to URA. I think the idea that some of these institutions will be able to spend at source is meant to facilitate their activities. But then I was wondering if we still continue to notice that there's a over expenditure beyond what is required. Want it to be, I just wanted to get clarification from the chairperson whether there was no limit within which they are supposed to operate. Because much as they are allowed to spend at source, I believe that one, there should be a limit, and then also two, the guideline of only which items they are supposed to spend. Thank you.
Former Chair,
Yes, please.
Jeffrey, there is
Yes.
always a limit
Yes.
on how much you should spend.
Yeah. That's why, Madam Speaker, I rose. Because if there is a limit, I think the committee came up with a view that there was over expenditure. That means they surpassed their what? Their limit.
Yes.
So when they surpass their limit, that means there is a problem.
Yes.
And they wanted to get a clear clarification, because the committee should have interrogated if they had a specific limit within which they are supposed to spend. Why did they go beyond? And I have not seen any sanction proposed by the committee in relation to that. That's why I have stood up, Madam Speaker. The remit, what is the remit? That one has not been brought out clearly. Thank you.
What is your recommendation on overspending beyond the limit of what was given?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and I want to thank my brother, the Honourable Onzima. Well, first of all, to put it in context, there are two figures. There is NTR, because the permission to spend at source relates to what they are able to collect by themselves as NTR. Now, the policy of government has shifted that all collections go through URA. Their interpretation is that everything they have collected is NTR to them, which is where we disagreed. So, after interrogating the issue, we did say the committee recommends that URA's over expenditure was irregular, first as an observation, and the accounting officer's explanation could not absolve the entity. The PSST who would have sanctioned the accounting officer is a member of the URA board, which treated this money as part of their NTR. So that's where we said the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should take up the matter in accordance with Section 78(1) of the Public Finance Management Act. In other words, we passed over the responsibility now to the minister. Why? Because the PSST who supervises accounting officers is a member of the board that treated this money as NTR. Thank you.
Don't we need to find out how much money was overspent? And that should have been the responsibility. Did the Auditor General give us the amount that was overspent?
Yes, the amount, Right Honourable Speaker, was mentioned, where we mentioned expenditure of a total budget approved of 554.510 billion, Uganda shillings 649.41 billion was spent over and above the budgeted amount by 94.896 billion, which is 17%. which was irregular and unjustified. In his response to the committee, the accounting officer provided sources part of this over expenditure amounting to 67.06 billion. The schedules revealed that travel and transport 24%, procurement of office equipment, which is 4,003%, and office furniture 323% were financed during a environment worth 26.43 billion, which ideally is part of the approved budget as per section 22 of the PFMA. 2. The exception of land and buildings, which is 370%, that was financed by donation from Trademark East Africa, was not originally part of the approved budget, which offends section 1310A3 of the PFMA. And we attach annexures of those letters.
Thank you.
And C, generally, the entity's over expenditure is in violation of section 25 of the PFMA and section 18 of the Public Finance Management Regulations 2015 that require a vote to seek supplementary expenditure.